So in the world of NAS devices for your network, a lot of people wonder, what is a NAS device? In the simplest terms, it's just a server that stores your data for you. And we're going to talk about one particular device and the trend I see going forward for NASs in the future. Things like this Link Station N2. This is a pretty decent device with the features that it has. The N1, we're looking at the difference between the N1 and the N2 here on its specs. And one was Jasper Lake N5 5105, and we've got an N100 Alder Lake in 6 watt TDP. Now, the cool thing about this low wattage is you're going to have a NAS that's going to not use a lot of power. This is important because a NAS runs 24 hours a day, so you're looking for something that's not going to chew up a lot of energy when you're running a NAS, because the NAS is just your data server that's holding all your data for you in your home or for your business. The cool thing about this is being an Alder Lake and being that new of a generation, it can use, a good amount of memory, 16 gig of RAM. It's got 4 cores, 4 threads, 3.4 gigahertz. That's all fairly good on the performance side of things. You can do mostly that you would want to do with this performance wise when it comes to a NAS. And the fact that it is a standard Intel type of unit like this leaves you open to a lot of options for the type of OS that you would want to put in this NAS. Storage 1, you can get a 128 gig eMMC up to 4 gig comes installed out of the box, but that would be for whatever boot OS you're going to run on it. You can put 2 regular SATA 3.0 devices in it. You can put 4 M2 2280 NVMe. So this is the trend that I'm talking about. A lot of the NASs are starting to move to the SSD side of things. So now we're starting to see with 2 and 4 terabyte NAS NVMe drives becoming a lot more available. We're starting to see more people move to that for their storage on their NAS, which obviously SSDs are faster, so that's a big deal. And then when you look at on the other flip side, this is important because if you're using that speed of drive, you're gonna want a fast network. So it starts to get a little pricey when you start doing 10 gig, because you're going to need better cabling. You're going to need 10 gig switches or a 10 gig router in order to support a NAS at 10 gig Ethernet. So that's really important. My network is currently only running 2.5 gig. So I'm only running this type of network right now. I plan on upgrading to 10 gig at some point. I'm not sure exactly when, but that will happen. Looking down on the rest of the specs here, you got your 2 USB 2.0 ports, and then you've got 3.2 Gen 2, one 3.2 Gen 2 10 gig, and one 3.2 Gen 1 5 gig. That's basically 3.0. 5 gig USB 3 is just everything 3.0 and up is all about that speed. They're just calling it 3.2 Gen 1 because it's a Type C port. It's kind of odd that you get a Type A port for the 10 gig. I currently have a card running 2 10 gig 3.2 Gen 2 ports off of my server because I wanted 20 gig of bandwidth to go to the hard drive boxes that are running the hard drives. So, but this is a very important thing to have this capability, because right here you are going to be able to hook up an external box and get pretty good bandwidth going to having 10 gig coming off the USB port, getting to external USB drives. So that will give you some expandability and some scalability on the NAS going forward into the future. Although this would not be necessarily the NAS I would buy, and this is not an advertisement for these guys. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. I just saw this news article and I was like, this is a good opportunity to actually kind of talk about the trend going forward with NAS devices, and it's an actually an interesting trend that's happening, and I think the price is getting reasonable too. So we're looking at $400-ish for this device without hard drives in it, which isn't too bad considering the capabilities that you're talking about that you get from it, the performance of the processor that's in it, the capabilities that it has, and the flexibility that it has overall. For you to be able to use for different operating systems and everything. So, you know, uh, going over the pictures here, showing you there's the regular SATA drives. So we're seeing there's the box. Um, so there it is sitting on a table. Let's take a look now. Let's go down here and look. Light strip control. So we've got here it is sitting next to a couple of batteries to give you kind of an idea. Very small, very elegant. It's not it's a good size. And you've got your standard USB ports and an HDMI port, because these you would use for keyboard, mouse, and an HDMI to plug into a monitor for when you're setting it up initially, depending on what OS you want to install on this particular device, which you actually will have your choice of lots of OSs, considering this should be a standard x86 computer, basically, giving you a lot of flexibility over a lot of the other OSs. I'm really not a fan of any NAS that operates on the premise where you're running it with a proprietary operating system, which means I'm not a Synology fan. I'm not a I'm not necessarily a fan of the Western Digital MyClouds. I'm not a fan of a lot of those types that lock you into their OS. I would prefer to be able to wipe it out and load my own OS on it. You can always run a Windows Server OS. You can run many different NAS OSs on a machine like this in the future, so that your machine doesn't end up in a situation to where things aren't supported anymore, like actually Synology has done to their clients and other companies have done to clients before. And then you have no choice but to just get a new NAS, because obviously you can't wipe it out and load a different operating system on that machine. So this is one of the better options to go with, something like this. And here it's showing the NVMEs. They go in the bottom. There, you can put a total of 4 of them. That's really, really nice, showing some 4 terabytes there and a couple of 2 terabytes, giving you an idea of the options there for the NVMe drives you can throw in it. Definitely, absolutely, a cool design. It's showing Unraid right here, OS main dashboard for Unraid. The setup also changed slightly from N1 to N2. Tower.local. So it's using the Unraid operating system. So I haven't tried this NAS out to know if you can completely erase it and load a different OS on it, but I would assume that I would assume it's going to come loaded with what they like to have in it, which is Unraid, which there's no problem with that. You can run Unraid. My whole thing would be I would want the option to be able to load a different operating system on it in the future, so that I could always, wipe it out and upgrade it to a different OS. Let's just say a different NAS OS comes out that I would rather use, that supports something that I want to do when Unraid maybe won't support it. I mean, there's lots of situations where that can arise. I mean, there's so many different things that you would want to use a NAS for as a server, load a server program on to be a server for a certain thing, that I kind of like the flexibility for future proofing it a little bit, so that maybe even if you know if you want to, you can do that. Obviously, you can just set a NAS up to be just storage, And then you can set other machines up to be servers for specific things that you want to be a server, and then access this network accessible storage to be used on that server. And then you've got multiple machines that you have to worry about always running. I mean, if it's just a home use type thing, I prefer to have one machine that kind of does everything, and that's what I currently have now. I have an i7 machine that acts as my NAS slash HTTP, FTP, Plex server, etc., 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 all the way down the road, whatever servers I want to throw on there. And it, obviously I share my storage out throughout my network, and that's what I currently do. That's not necessarily what any of you have to do. Um, it's really up to you what you decide to do. I'm just telling you, try to get something a little bit flexible that's not tied to an OS that's all you can ever put on it, because that's not, in my opinion, a good way to go. You're forcing yourself to only be at the mercy of that particular company, and hoping that they continue to support and update the software that you have in the device. Um, that's all I'm saying about that. That's my personal opinion on it. That's what I like to. That's how I view it. But yeah, this looks like a nice device. Just a trend that I've noticed in the NAS networking space, that things are going more to SSDs. We're seeing more NASs like this crop up toward the end of last year and toward this year, that I'm seeing more and more of them like this on the market, which I absolutely love the idea of. I think it's great for people to be able to get a nice small device that's low powered, that you can throw in your home or in your business and have a nice little personal server that you're not dependent on the internet for, because let's face it, if the internet goes down, your cloud servers are no longer functionable. So whatever, if it's an internet-based server, you're relying on that internet to be up. With a server like this, you don't rely on the internet to be up. Whether it's your business or whether it's your home server with your home data on it, movies or documents or pictures, if the internet goes down, you're going to be able to access it. And that's my whole point. You want to be basically capable of getting your data. Cloud-based stuff is meant to be backup, not main usage, in my opinion. You shouldn't use any cloud backups as your main storage. It should be a backup that you can maybe access remotely when you're traveling or something like that. But for your everyday use, you want that snappiness. You want quick. So if you want that, you're going to want something like this. That's SSDs locally on your network, 10 gig freaking network connection. That's fast. Really nice stuff coming out for reasonable prices. The price is not bad on that thing at $300-400. That's really not bad. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.